All right, today we're going to dive deep into something pretty revolutionary, the LIG digital ecosystem. You see, this is a whole new fintech architecture, and it's built to tackle a massive multi-billion-dollar problem in one of the planet's most critical industries, mining. The whole idea is to unlock a ton of value that's just been sitting there, trapped, starting right in Latin America. You know, this single sentence right here from their master plan, it's not just some marketing slogan. It is the absolute core of their strategy. Every single piece of tech, every financial model we're about to get into, it's all built to make this one sentence a reality. So what's the goal? It's simple, really. Turn that physical wealth, literally locked in the ground, into high-speed, transparent digital capital.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the big vision. Then, we'll get into the institutional-grade security that holds the whole thing together. After that, we'll check out their smart capital engine, look at a real-world prototype, see the platform that users interact with, and finally, wrap up with their plan for leading the market.
So what is the fundamental problem that LIG is trying to solve? Well, it's this huge, clunky inefficiency that just plagues small and medium-sized mining operations everywhere. It's called illiquidity. And what that really means is the absolutely crippling delay between when a miner delivers valuable ore and when they actually, finally get paid. I want you to just imagine you're a miner for a second. You've done all the backbreaking work, you've extracted the ore, you've delivered it, but your payment is stuck in some bureaucratic cycle for 30, 60, maybe even 90 days. I mean, this isn't just a hassle, it's a total operational nightmare. It means you can't make payroll, you can't buy fuel for the machinery, you can't fund the next dig, your growth just grinds to a dead stop. And that is the exact pain point this whole LIG ecosystem is built to wipe out.
Now, if you're going to solve this kind of problem with digital assets, and you want to attract serious institutional money, well, you can't just slap a solution together. You have to build an impenetrable fortress. The entire system has to be engineered for trust, and that, my friends, starts with the technology deep down at its core.
Let's talk about a really crucial concept here. Time to finality. In the world of high-value finance, any delay, I mean any delay, between sending a payment and knowing it's 100% final creates risk. And when you're talking about millions of dollars, that risk window has to be slammed shut, basically to zero. This is why for big institutions, speed is security. They're one and the same.
And this right here is exactly why LIG chose to build on the Avalanche network. Look at this. We're talking about a final, completely irreversible settlement in under 2 seconds. Now compare that to Ethereum, which can take up to 15 seconds. In a high-volume business, that 13-second difference, it's an eternity. Avalanche's lightning speed is what makes instant real-world liquidity not just a dream, but a technical reality.
But look, speed is only half of the security puzzle. The other equally important half is custody. How do you actually protect the money in the treasury? Well, LIG uses what's called a safe multi-signature wallet. Just think of it like a digital bank vault that requires multiple separate keys to open it. No single person, not an executive, not an admin, not a hacker, can move the funds all by themselves. This is absolutely not negotiable for earning institutional trust.
So here's how this multi-sig thing actually works day to day. First, the treasury team proposes a transaction, say paying a miner. But that transaction is totally frozen. It doesn't go anywhere until it gets the green light from 3 out of 5 designated key holders. And these aren't just a few people in the same office. The keys are held by the president, a lead investor, and even their outside legal counsel. Only when 3 of these independent parties digitally sign off on it are the funds actually released. This whole process just eliminates single points of failure and makes unauthorized transactions pretty much impossible.
Okay, so we've got the security lockdown. Now let's look at the engine. Because this is where LIG's model gets really cool. It doesn't just solve the miner's liquidity problem. It actually creates this brand new, super efficient financial engine that turns the company's treasury from just a boring holding account into an active, value-generating profit center.
So here's the core offer, the big promise. When a miner submits their invoice, they don't have to wait 90 days. No way! They get an 80% advance on the spot, instantly. Paid in USDC, which is basically a stable digital dollar. This is that immediate cash injection they need to get their operations humming again.
Let's just walk through the whole cycle. A miner uploads their invoice and boom, they get that 80% advance. But here is the real game changer. That remaining 20% they're waiting on, the reserve, it doesn't just sit there collecting dust. While LIG waits for the final payment from the buyer, that reserve is put to work. It's actively staked to generate yield. And once the full invoice is paid, the miner gets back their 20% reserve plus a share of any of the gains it generated.
And we're not talking about pennies here. By placing that 20% reserve on secure institutional-grade staking platforms like Kraken, LEG is generating an 8 to 10% annual yield. What's happening is that capital is helping to secure the network and earning a reward for doing it. In the old world of finance, this reserve is just dead money. Here, it becomes smart money. It's a brand new revenue stream created out of capital that would otherwise be completely idle.
The knock-on effects of this are just huge. I mean, first, it directly boosts LIG's own profitability. That allows them to offer miners way better rates than any of their old-school competitors. The yield can also be used to build up a self-funded insurance pool to cover any potential defaults, which makes the whole system tougher and more resilient. And get this, that growing pool of capital then acts as liquid collateral to finance other things, like heavy machinery. It is a perfect, self-reinforcing, virtuous cycle.
Okay, this all sounds amazing in theory, right? But where is the proof that it actually works? Well, that brings us to La Linda. You see, LING is going beyond just factoring invoices. They're moving into the tokenization of real-world assets, which is a fancy way of saying they're taking a physical asset and representing its value on the blockchain. And La Linda is their very first live test case. So what is La Linda? It's a 200-hectare mining property in Chile's Atacama region. This isn't some theoretical project on a whiteboard. It's a real place, a live prototype. LIG is using the specific piece of land to build and test the entire legal and technical framework for turning real-world property rights into digital tokens.
So, La Linda is hitting 3 really key goals for them. First and foremost, it proves the model actually works in the messy real world. Second, it shows how you can take one huge, expensive asset and fragment it or break it up, allowing hundreds of smaller investors to participate instead of needing one giant one. And third, it establishes that NFTs can legally represent a right to future profits, which basically opens up this entire asset class to a whole new world of investors.
So how does everybody, the miner, the investor, the equipment provider, how do they all plug into this ecosystem? Well, they do it through one single unified interface, the PIM, which stands for Portal de Inversión Minera. And it's being built as a decentralized application, or a dApp. This PIM dApp is basically the central hub where everything happens. For investors, it's their command center to find projects, buy tokens, and track their returns. For miners, it's their lifeline. They use it to register their operations and get that instant financing. And crucially, even the guys who provide heavy machinery can plug in and offer their services directly to newly funded projects. It's really designed to be a complete end-to-end business platform for everyone involved.
So with the tech, the business model, and the platform all coming together, the final piece of the puzzle is the roadmap. LIG isn't just building a cool product here, they are executing a very clear step-by-step strategy to become the regulated go-to market leader in Latin American mining finance.
And that brings us to the single most critical question that's driving this final phase of their strategy. Getting that official stamp of approval from Chile's financial authority, the CMF, is the endgame. It's what separates a cool project from a true institutional-grade financial powerhouse. So, how are they going to get there?
Well, their path to getting regulated follows this clear 4-step game plan. First, lock down formal partnerships with the heavy hitters like Ava Labs and Kraken. Second, build out their minimum viable product. Third, and this is an absolute must-have for institutional trust, get every single asset fully insured through a major global broker like Aon or Marsh. And with that rock-solid foundation in place, the final step is to execute the legal strategy and engage directly with the regulators.
When you boil it all down, what we're really seeing here is a plan to build a bridge. It's a bridge between the raw, tangible wealth of the Earth and the incredible speed, efficiency, and global reach of the 21st century digital economy. It's all about creating and accessing value where it's never been accessible before.
And let's be clear, the ambition here is absolutely massive. The vision is to set a completely new standard for how mining is financed, not just in Chile, but across the entire continent. By building this foundation of trust, speed, and transparency, the path is being paved towards a billion-dollar valuation. So really, the question isn't if this is going to transform an industry, it's how quickly that transformation is going to scale.